Assalamualaikum. Akbar Hingorjo judge PhD final seminar थियो National Mandela Hall में जज presiding dean Professor Dr. Amar Kaka Patakai ये सेमिनार सक्सेसफुल थियो सभी क्वेश्चन दोस्तों के parameter के रिप्लाई करा
Communication, digital media is emerging as a catalyst for media convergence in Sindh. It has provided greater opportunity for climate change content producers to share the same content on multiple platforms in different formats to reach a variety of audiences. So this is creating a kind of media convergence in Sindh. Different stakeholders, including journalists, NGOs, government departments, academicians, stated that they are using multiple platforms to share content related to climate change. Participants also mentioned concept of integrated content, which is equally effective for all media. So the majority of the participants mentioned that Facebook is most popular effective digital media platform for climate change communication in Sindh. They prefer Twitter to influence policymakers. WhatsApp is used for focused group discussion and dissemination of climate change related information to community, professionals and civil society groups. Use of videos and photos in social media posts are most effective. In addition to participants were using several other formats for climate change communication, including blogs, other formats which have been mentioned in the thesis. Selection of formats also depend on the type of the content, platform and audience. So the participants also highlighted the importance of local context, local languages. The audience of digital media is more comfortable with brief pieces of information and it overlooks the detailed articles.
Can you come on 37 page? Integration of qualitative quantitative.
Qualitative factors. After the integration of qualitative and quantitative findings, following the technique of triangulation of qualitative and quantitative findings were merged to explore the convergence, divergence or complementarity in reference to the research questions of the study. According to Ahuja and PTR, the most studies tend to use narrative approach. The researcher has used narrative approach to present qualitative and quantitative findings. Narrative approach of integration of findings which involves providing a descriptive account of the qualitative and quantitative findings. A lesser used method, there is also another method to present the integrated result which is in form of table, but I have adopted the narrative approach. Qualitative and quantitative data on the separately detailed results are provided in the previous chapter. Results are merged in the final chapter to explore the instances of convergence, divergence between the perspective of climate change communicators and digital media audience in relation to the research objectives of the study. So the key findings are the qualitative data indicate that majority of the climate change claim makers consider climate change as a major threat to society in modern life. Similarly, in the similar context, the survey results also indicate that majority of the students with an average mean value of 4.30 perceive climate change as a global threat. Qualitative results provide that climate change is having disastrous consequences for developing countries like Pakistan, Sindh is worst affected province. Similarly, the majority of the surveyed students with an average mean of 4.10 also endorse that Pakistan is one of the highly vulnerable countries to climate change and Sindh province is one of the climate change hotspot in the region. So there is similarity in the point of view of climate change claim makers and the audience of the digital media. So for the use of digital media platforms for climate change communication, the majority of the stakeholders of climate change claim makers acknowledge that digital media is emerging as an instant source of news and information as outreach of the online sources is rapidly increasing in the province. In the similar context, vast majority of the surveyed students with an average mean of 4.07 maintain that digital media is their favorite source of climate change information. And a majority of them with 3.68 also endorse, mean of 3.68 also endorse that digital media is playing an effective role in social construction of climate change in Sindh. Qualitative data analysis reveals various advantages of digital media related to time, resource constraints, audience response, and cost effectiveness in comparison to the traditional media. In a similar context, the majority of the surveyed students with a mean of 4.32 endorsed that digital media is providing more information compared to other information sources. So here we see convergence in the perspective of both climate change claim makers and audience. Use of digital media platforms for climate change communication. In-depth interviews of participants reveal that Facebook is the most popular and effective digital media platform. However, the climate change claim makers consider WhatsApp as the best platform for group communication, while Twitter was considered as more effective if your target audience is authorities, politicians, political leaders. Survey results: majority of the surveyed students, 88.1%, was using Facebook. To this extent, the perspective of climate change claim makers converged with them. WhatsApp was ranked as second most popular platform with a score of 86.1%, whereas third most used digital platforms was YouTube with response rate of 77.3%. Here is a kind of divergence in the view of both claim makers and the audience, as they consider Twitter as the third most popular platform, but the social media posts are the first most favorite format, as 74.5% of the respondents acknowledge them as one of their most preferred formats, followed by video as one of the most favorite formats, because videos are also available on YouTube and other sources. So 60.9% respondents, 62.4 respondents mentioned interesting images as one of the element making content attractive for them. Thus, the researcher conclude that social media posts with visual element, because visual element was also mentioned by the climate change claim makers, like photos and video, can be considered as the most attractive format to convey climate change information. And qualitative data also emphasize upon the importance of visual element on the climate change communication. The web articles emerged as the third most favorite format, with 27.7% of the respondents acknowledge it as one of the most attractive formats to receive climate change. Blogs are appropriate format to communicate the detailed information.
As far as your questions are concerned, as far as activity officer is concerned, you haven't linked your questions with the findings. Your questions were 5 or 6 questions were there. Please try to link the questions with your findings. Secondly, mixed method is also okay.
Very important topic nowadays, and I think that his first PhD in this topic in Pakistan, I guess. If I'm not wrong.
Maybe, I suppose.
Using social media.
Climate change communication.
I had PhD in climate change communication.
From Malaysia, from Pakistan.
Well, I have some questions regarding this. First, I would like to ask that I couldn't see any conceptual framework of your thesis. Well, when we do qualitative study, then there must be some kind of theoretical contribution.
I think I have provided conceptual framework.
I'm talking about theoretical model.
Yes.
Which must be the results of your findings. Conceptual model is important when we want to highlight the relationship between variables. I think that you should also consider these variables as well in your research when you talk about your hypothesis. So there must be some role of narrating and moderating variables as well in the spatial context of Sindh as well. And I would like to second the opinion of sir that it should not focus on only the students. You should also include some other sectors as well, and some stakeholders may add their opinions through which you can also improve your thesis. Overall, it was a very good contribution, and I hope that you can work more for this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.